Hey family and friends, how you guys doing? It's Wednesday and we are talking weddings. Last week I promised Ore I will create a fake, or I'll create an estimate wedding budget for 150 guest wedding. I chose 150 because that's normally the number of guests that sort of, that most people want to work with. So 150, 200, and if it's a really big wedding, maybe 300. I've done a wedding for 600 guests, so you can multiply the figures that I'm about to give with whatever your number is. Please remember that the number of your guests drive how much you are going to spend on your wedding. Remember that if you have more people, you're going to spend more. If you have less people, you're going to spend less. So how big your wedding is, and where you're having your wedding, which area, as in, are you having it at home, are you having it at a venue? Those are driving factors as to how much you are eventually going to spend. So always remember to think about your number. Always remember that the more people you have, the more you're going to pay. So I have my notes here, so please don't think I'll ignore. I'm not ignoring you, and I hope my English will behave today. So we now know how much we have. I always say go get an Excel spreadsheet. I have one that I use with all my clients where we have a few columns. A column, it's our ticking box. Is it done? We base it on color. Is it done? What still need to be done on the item? And then column number 2, who is our supplier? Column number 3, how much are we willing to pay? What is our estimate? Column number next, the actual amount. The next column, are we over budget or are we under budget? Ne? And then the next column is where we have our notes, or what changes are we making through, like in that line item. Let me give you an example. Photography, is it done? Who is the supplier? What is our estimate? Our budget, estimate budget, I'll come to that. And then what is the actual? Are we over or are we under budget? And what notes do we have? When are we paying? Is it paid? And we mention all those things. There's a day where we sit down once a month, depending on how far is our wedding, we sit down and now analyze, or okay, what have you done? What still needs to be done on that line item? Yeah, photography, for example. So how do you know how much to estimate? And I keep it simple. Honestly speaking, I keep it simple. I look at what is it that you're going to spend money on, and you know how much you're going to spend money on, or where you're going to spend a lot of money on. Can I burst the bubble, or can I just say it? Decor, venue, and food. Decor, venue, and food. Those three combined can literally even take a minimum of 60% of your budget. So for a 150 guest wedding, I always say have at least 180 with that buffer. Yeah, 20%, yeah, 36,000 rand. So you have around 206. My maths. 216. Yes. So you have around 216,000 rands. 150 is our main one, and the 36,000 rands is our buffer. Or when we do our estimate, when we break it up, we still have the 36,000 rands to go back and lean on and ask from. So decor, venue, and food, those are the three main ones that are going to chow your budget. So percentage wise, 60% of the 180 will go towards those three things. And I class them together because most of the time you find that you are at a venue and the venue will be cooking for you, Anker. And then Mabutla or whoever will come with deco. We group it, come home. That's number one. Number two, your dress and your suit, I always give it 13% because this as well depends on your style, your taste. Or are you an expensive kind of a person, or are you just an okay kind of a person? And by being okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Remember, I did say, oh, this is one day. And it being one day, it doesn't mean that you now have to be bankrupt. You are now going to get loans. You are now going to, no, we don't do things like that. So 13%. In the 13%, I would say go rent a dress. You don't have to buy. What are you going to do with the dress after? Again, this is not for everyone. It's for those that are willing to, or that say we only have 180,000 rands. Go and hire a dress for about 13,000 rands, and then the difference here, 10,000 rands, will go to your husband's suit, shoes, and the whole attire. Men are not that expensive, to be honest, and they tend to be easygoing as compared to ladies. So 13,000 rands will go towards your dress, and then the difference will go towards your husband's attire. That's 13%. So 60% ki deco, 13% goes towards your dress and your suit. Then photography. Listen, when it comes to photography, please do not compromise. If it means, or instead of working on 150 guests, work on 130, take the difference here, the 20 guests, add on to your photography. Rather you do that because photography, you are capturing your moments, you are freezing your moments. So don't compromise on those. Get a good professional photographer. Do not compromise. Please don't compromise. I give that 9%. 9% of the 180. That adds up to my 16,000 rands, which is fairly a good amount. Really, it's fairly a good amount because you'll get a professional photographer, someone that will understand you, someone that will capture the moments professionally, not malome mamang o leng gore o dira dinepe o tšea dinepe tša ko gae kwa nje. No. So you will be getting a professional photographer for about 16K. That's fine. That's decent. And remember that this is an estimate, our estimate, so that when we approach these suppliers, we tell them, hey, Tota, I only have 16K. Hey, when I'm I only have 13K. Hey, venue, deco, and food, listen, I only have 110,000 rands. Ne? Hair and makeup, you have to look beautiful for your day. I always give that 3%. 3% of whatever budget that you are working with. If when your budget get 380,000 rands, 3% of that will give you a hair and makeup person that's within that range. Yeah. So if your budget is 180, like in our case for the whole wedding, it adds up to 5,400 rands. Hair will cost you maybe around 3,000 rands, and the difference goes towards makeup. You will get, there are suppliers that work within that kind of budget. Next, your cake. Cake. Mudlise. I actually need to know what does that whole cake thing, what is it all about? Guys, crazy, I tell you. Your cake, 4%. That adds up to 7.2. This is a decent 4-5 tier cake. Decent. A cake, again, you do not have to get a real cake. You can get a dummy cake. Most of the cakes that I use are dummy cakes. Honestly. There are a lot of people that have beautiful cakes displayed at their shops. you can go and rent that if 7.2 is a lot for you. Or you can just go and get a real cake made, a dummy cake, and then have sheet cakes. That is if you're traveling far, okay? I talk about this because now most of the weddings that I do, I travel. And I choose to travel because I enjoy it. I enjoy weddings that are far. So, a dummy cake, you can save money there. And if you don't want a dummy cake, you want a real cake, then 7.2 estimate is what you will have to pay. DJ and sound and lighting. Now this one is quite tough. It's tough in a sense that abatshwane, like any other supplier, abatshwane, and this one I always give it between 10 and 12%. It adds up to 18,000 rands. This is not, I'm not going to mention names. This is not top. This is just okay, but decent. Am I making sense? Okay, but decent. This is not top. So when you approach these people, remember another amounts that I'm giving them on a workable budget. I'm giving them on a budget that needs to work. So around 18,000 rands will get you a decent DJ, decent lighting, decent sound, decent, okay? Shoes and jewelry, it depends on the kind of person you are. If you are an expensive Jimmy Choo, Louboutin, Christian Louboutin, I don't know how to pronounce it, you will definitely spend much more. Nah, I give that 3%, which is up to 5.4. So you can get a decent shoe from any other shop, not an expensive shop where you will spend around 4K for a nice shoe, and then the difference will go to your jewelry and your underwear and stuff like that. So 5.4 for me can cover all of those. Your wedding stationery. This is now your invites, your welcome board, your program, your menu, your table, name cards, all those things, 3% as well, 5.4. You do not have to have a program on each and every one. No, you don't have to. You know, rata fola at the end of the day. You can have, on a 10-seater table, you can have 4 or 5. That's it. Drinks. If you are going to buy your guests drinks, 7%, that's 12,000 rands. They will refill. But I add but I if they have to, or if you're having your wedding at home, or they will buy a revenue. So don't feel bad, all right? Then miscellaneous. I always say there are those expenses that people don't really budget for, like your traveling, your data, the planning process. 5% is up to 9,000 rands. All these things that I have mentioned, with the 180 plus the 36,000 rands, they add up to 214,000 rands. And we had a budget of 216,000 rands. So that leaves us change nyana, 1,800 rands. So these are just my guidelines. They are to be followed or they are not to be followed. I hope I have helped someone out there. And if you have questions or if you want to add, please comment. Please, guide me as well, because I might think that that's how it will work and might not work. But always, these percentages that I gave you guys, they always work. Always. They've never disappointed me. 60% decor, venue and food, your dress 13%, photography 9%, hair and makeup 3%, cake 4%, DJ 10%, shoes 3%, stationery 3%, drinks 7%, miscellaneous 5%. Thank you so much and see you next week. Mwah!